In February 2026, OpenAI announced something groundbreaking. They had just raised $110 billion, an amount larger than 120 countries' entire economies, and one of the biggest amounts raised by a company in history. At first glance, this appears like a confidence vote in the company by some of the biggest players in tech. But peel back the curtain just a little and the picture quickly changes.
Bruh, 110 billion? Dog, that's a crazy amount of money. For real, I don't even know why a company would even need that much. That's not normal, that's insane. And the part that got me thinking is like, who are you even talking to raise 110 billion? Cause that's not coming from regular people. That gotta be coming from at least big investors, big tech companies, and people with crazy money behind the scenes.
In May 2024, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, took to the stage at Harvard University and said this.
I will disclose just as like a personal bias that I hate ads. And I think that ads plus AI is sort of uniquely unsettling to me. I kind of think of ads as like a last resort for us for a business model.
OpenAI has become one of the biggest companies in human history. And when these companies, private or public, go down, the shock doesn't stop with them. Even you will be paying for it.
Man, you know what's crazy? We already paying for it. I can't even hop on YouTube without getting hit with ads every few minutes. And if you try to use ad blocker to get around it, now they're telling you to turn it off or you can't even watch the video. So it's like at that point, you don't even got a choice. You either sit through it or pay to skip it. And between me and you, the more ads they can show you, the more money they make. Simple as that.
In 2025, financial filings from Microsoft revealed a secret which had been hidden from the public for years. OpenAI, its largest AI investment, had lost more than $12 billion in a single quarter alone. Annualized, that works out to nearly $50 billion a year, far exceeding OpenAI's full year 2025 cash burn of around $9 billion. To put that into perspective, that's more than what Nike, Starbucks, and Goldman Sachs, some of America's biggest companies, all spent in an entire year, all for a startup founded less than a decade ago.
Let me know if y'all agree with me, but if I'm a company like Microsoft and I got OpenAI under my wing, I'm not rushing to show that either. Losing that much money in one quarter? That's a bad look. That's like having a bad haircut, bro. And you know damn well you're not about to go outside showing everybody that. You throwing a hat on, staying low key with it till it grows back. But I get why that stayed hidden, cause numbers like that don't just look bad. That's the type of stuff that make investors start questioning everything. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to invest my hard-earned money into something that's not even profitable.
Whether it's a bubble or not, there's no denying that AI is a revolutionary technology, even in its current state. And by most estimates, it's only likely to keep improving. Which is why investors are willing to throw money at any AI company developing frontier models, because they believe whoever is the first to build general artificial intelligence would become the most valuable company in human history.
This low-key remind me of that one shoe company. They wasn't even doing too good. Then they pivoted to AI and their whole company valuation just shot up out of nowhere. It went from downhill to uphill real quick. And it's not even like everything changed overnight. It's just investors hear AI and start throwing money at it thinking it's the next big thing. But at the same time, that only lasts for so long. If they don't actually deliver, all the hype disappears real quick and the money goes right back out the door.
Okay, but if all these other tech companies are also spending insane amounts of money on AI, why does it only seem to be OpenAI which is taking heat for it? Now, there are kind of two main reasons for this. Most of it comes down to this idea called cross-subsidization.
Cross what? Subsub what? Nah, you don't even have to look it up. Already looked it up for the both of us, cause I was confused too. Basically, it's when a company got one part making a ton of money, and they use that money to keep another part running that's not making money yet. So it's kind of like one side is the money maker and the other side is the bet. You use the money from what's already working to keep funding what you hope is gonna work next.
You see, in the second quarter of 2025 alone, Google made $54 billion from Google Search, $13 billion from Google Cloud, and YouTube, one of its lowest revenue sources, still made about $10 billion. For context, more money than OpenAI made in the whole of 2024. Where none of this money was actually coming from is Gemini, Google's large language model.
I ain't gonna lie, every time I hear a billion this, a billion that, I start realizing how broke I am, dog. Like these numbers don't even sound real no more. But nah, for real though, that's literally what we were just talking about earlier. cross-subsidization. They're making all this money from search, cloud, YouTube, and that's probably what's funding this whole AI situation on the side.
In fact, this part of the business is actively losing them money. But by integrating Gemini into its existing products, like Gmail and Google Docs, Google can justify the billions it spent on AI as an investment. And it's not just Google using this kind of model. Elon Musk employs a similar strategy with Tesla and xAI, Meta with Instagram and Llama, and Microsoft with Copilot and Office 365.
And that's the thing with all these companies, it's a monkey see, monkey do type of situation. Once one of them starts moving a certain way, everybody else wants to follow. Cause nobody trying to sit back while another company taps into something that can give them a competitive advantage. So now it's not just Google, everybody jumping in trying to make sure they don't get left behind.
For these companies, spending billions on AI infrastructure isn't just about competing in the AI race or trying to make money directly from AI. It's about protecting their core businesses. Google needs Gemini to keep people using Google search, else everyone will just switch to ChatGPT for faster answers. And it's the same thing from Microsoft with Copilot and Office tools. For them, spending billions on AI is simply the cost of doing business in 2025.
Real talk, I see both sides. On one hand, yeah, integrating AI into their products actually makes sense. Like searching the internet now, it's way easier. Gemini can go through a bunch of websites and give you an answer quick, instead of me clicking through 100 links. That part is nice. But at the same time, not all of it hits like that. Some of this AI stuff feels half-baked. And truth be told, some of it just feels unnecessary. Like certain features on Gmail be popping up, low-key forcing themselves into what you're doing, insisting you use it, and now it's just in the way instead of actually helping. Yeah, there's pros and cons to this, not just pros.
And it just happens that the same technology can be used to create AI chatbots. Unlike these companies, however, OpenAI doesn't have a $400 billion search engine empire behind it, or an enterprise software business generating steady revenue. In fact, it's one of the only major AI companies that actually needs to make money directly from AI to fund its operations. And right now, that's a problem.
Oh, I was not hip. I didn't even know OpenAI was in a bad situation like that. Dang, that's actually a bad spot to be in. See, the thing is, we all got passion projects. We all got things we believe in, things we spend money on trying to make it work. You might spend a few hundred, maybe a few $1,000s trying to make something shake. But dog, I'm not spending no billions, especially when that joint not even making money back. They spending billions on something they believe in, and it's not even making no money in return. Let that sink in, dog. Nah, for real, let that sink in.
For context, only 30 companies in the world currently make up to $200 billion a year. So, to stay relevant in the AI race and continue pushing towards AGI, OpenAI essentially has to become one of the largest companies in the world in terms of revenue. Now, the question is, how realistic is this? Well, in 2025, OpenAI hit an annualized revenue run rate of $20 billion, 4 times more than its run rate the previous year.
So let me get this straight, only 30 companies in the world make up to $200 billion a year? And OpenAI is not even one of them? And in 2025, they only made $20 billion compared to those companies? That's wild. I ain't no mathematician, but they trying to compete with companies making 10 times more than them, bruh. And they're not even recouping the money they're investing into their own product. Yeah, nah, it might be time to throw in that towel and let us get our jobs back.
And while its revenues are growing exponentially, for OpenAI to actually cover its spending commitments, not even make a profit, just break even, they'd need to make at least 10 times more than what they made last year, while also competing against Google, Anthropic, Meta, and pretty much every other AI lab trying to do the exact same thing.
I kind of feel bad for OpenAI, I'm not gonna lie. They had a head start back in 2022. Like, they were the ones that came out with ChatGPT and had this whole AI wave going on. It looked like they had it under control. There wasn't really that much pressure like that back then. But now you got all these companies with way more money than you jumping on the same wave you started. They trying to build the same type of products, compete with you directly. That's a different type of pressure right there.
If you were going to be optimistic, you could say ChatGPT now has about 900 million weekly users. So that should count for something, right? Well, here's the problem with that. At the moment, only about 5% of those users actually pay to use ChatGPT, That's roughly 40 to 50 million people paying either $20 or $200 a month, which is where we get to the round figure of $20 billion in annual revenue.
Dang, 900 million users and only about 5% are actually paying to use ChatGPT. Wow, bro, that's not a good look at all. Matter of fact, which one of y'all watching me actually pays versus don't pay? Let me know, cause I'm really curious. I don't even know how they're gonna close the gap like that. There's only a few things I got in mind.
But if that conversion rate stays the same, OpenAI would need to scale to around 3 to 4 billion users to hit its goals. In other words, they'd basically need half the entire planet using ChatGPT just to break even. And as useful as the chatbot is, that clearly isn't going to happen. This all helps to explain why OpenAI now seems to be scrambling, rolling out ads, debating looser policies around adult content.
This is where stuff gets a little bit interesting when you think about it. See, the thing is, if you keep scaling the product, you're not really fixing the problem. You're just getting more users, but most of them still not paying. So now you just got more of the same problem. So it's like, how do you actually close that gap? And the only thing that really makes sense right now is ads. Because if people are not paying, the only way to make money off them is their attention. And that's where it gets a little messy, because earlier, Sam was saying he's not really a fan of ads. But now it's like you might not even have a choice.
It's worth keeping in mind that as big as that headline number sounds, $110 billion doesn't go as far as you'd think when you're expected to burn through $600 billion by 2030. It's hard to overstate how bad the fallout from this could be. Their bet is that investors won't value them on what they are now, but what they could become. And to be fair, that's not that far-fetched.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't really know much about investors. But this goes back to what I was saying earlier. I don't know anybody who would invest their hard-earned money into something that hasn't even been profitable up to this point. Like at some point, you gotta start asking questions. Yeah, you innovate, yeah, you do all this cool stuff, but that doesn't take away the uncertainty. Especially when your track record shows you haven't been generating money for a long period of time. Real talk.
I mean, take a look at Tesla. If it was valued at what it was today, a car company with minuscule sales, it wouldn't be worth more than $100 billion. But instead, it's valued as a $1 trillion robotics and AI company that it might become in the future. That's the kind of reception OpenAI is hoping for. The difference is that Tesla had a charismatic, if not slightly bizarre founder, a product people could see and touch, and years of runway to build the story.
In my opinion, it's easier to invest in something when you can actually see it getting better. Like with the car, you can see the upgrades, you can feel it, you know what you're putting your money into. But with something like OpenAI, it's like, yeah, you telling me the software's faster, it's smarter, it's doing all this behind the scenes stuff. Okay, cool. If I'm really putting money down, I'm trying to see real results. I'm trying to see more users, more people paying, real growth that I could point to. Not just it's better, show me that it's working.
OpenAI is asking the public to take the same leap of faith on a company that hasn't turned a profit, that is burning through money faster than almost any startup in history and is about to open its books for the first time. That's not impossible, but it's an enormous ask and an even bigger gamble.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, my parents always tell me to tell the truth and never lie. I got absolutely no faith in OpenAI right now. I'm sorry, it is what it is. OpenAI, you gonna have to step your game up. But here's the thing though, if this is where AI is headed, it doesn't just stop with OpenAI. Have y'all seen what Google about to get into? Man, they wildin' over there too.